Hello everyone and welcome to the Assessment 1 Flipped Club session. I'm Rose, your unit coordinator, and today I'm going to go through the unit requirements step by step in preparation for our live collab session. There are 3 sessions dedicated to the assignment in this unit, so I hope this session gives you better clarity for what you need to do for the assignment, especially for what you need to collect when you're out on placement, then to do this assignment. Remembering that this unit has 2 components that you must pass to pass the unit, and there are separate requirements for placement and for your assignment. The assignment is a beautiful way for you to showcase everything that you have done on placement, because we can't go out there and watch you and all the wonderful teaching and learning that you are doing. This is a great way to showcase what you have done over the 4 weeks of placement. Okay, so let's get started. I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. We respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which Swinburne Australian campuses are located in Melbourne's east and outer east, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We are honoured to recognise our connection to the Wurundjeri country, history, culture and spirituality. And through these locations, we strive to ensure that we operate in a manner that respects and honours the elders and ancestors of these lands. We respectfully acknowledge the Swinburne Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander staff, student, alumni, partners and visitors. We also acknowledge and respect the traditional owners of the land across Australia, their elders, ancestors, cultures, heritage, and recognise their continuing sovereignties of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander nations. Respectfully recognise the diverse country in which we're grateful to live and learn today. Okay, so today I'm going to go through and give you a walk through the requirements of the assignment. We're going to unpack it bit by bit and look at how it aligns with the criteria. I'm going to go through some formatting of the assignment, APA referencing, and some opportunity of where to ask your questions and where to from there. Okay, thanks. Alright, so the purpose of this assignment is to showcase your growth and development through your professional experience. So this is pretty much 4 weeks of placement put on paper. Here is you showing us. Here's what my placement looks like. Here is how I grew. Here is how amazing my teaching is. Here's what I learned. You're going to create a professional experience portfolio that's going to show how you're meeting the Australian professional standards for teachers at a graduate level by specifically addressing the 20 focus areas. And we will get to know these focus areas as we go throughout our teaching period. Okay, so the word limit for the assignment is 200 to 250 words per focus area and 20 focus areas in total. We need to have a reflection statement per focus area, but as I said, we're going to write these up while you're on placement, so you're not getting to the end of placement and suddenly having to write 20 focus areas of 200 to 250 words per focus area. Okay, so you need to start this while on placement. Your focus areas, you'll need to show how you address these in your portfolio. The assignment is a pass-fail, so that means that when I go through the criteria, everything in the criteria you have to show in your assignment. The criteria is like a checklist. Your markers will use it as a checklist to go through your portfolio and tick off that everything is there and that it meets the criteria. The due date is the Monday of week 11. What do I need to include? Okay, so there's 3 components. For each of these components will be on every page. So for each focus area, so 20 focus areas in total, you will show a piece of evidence, an annotation and a reflective statement. These will be cohesive portfolio showing your growth for all 20 focus areas. Each one will have a piece of evidence, annotation and a reflective statement, and so you'll have 20 pages in total. Okay, so here are your focus areas. So if you don't know much about the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers, you will by the end of this teaching period. There is a link in the Padlet you can go to start familiarising yourself with these. There's also your modules will start working through these and the discussion boards. There's also a checklist template in the assignment details for you to have while on placement. to check off that you're collecting all the evidence that you need. We have dedicated discussion boards for you to get to know and unpack and ask questions for these focus areas, as well as the Australian Professional Standards. There's 7 of them, and as you can see them on the screen here, we have all 7 standards, and then we have our 20 focus areas. So we have Standard 1, know your students and how they learn. Standard 2, know the context and how to teach it. Standard 3, plan for and implement effective teaching and learning. Standard 4, create and maintain a supportive and safe learning environment. Standard 5, access and provide feedback and report on students' learning. Standard 6, engage in professional learning. And Standard 7, engage in professionally with colleagues, parents, carers, and the community. For the entirety of your career, you will align your teaching practices to those 7 standards and the multiple focus areas that are aligning. For this placement, you will only focus on the 20 focus areas. And as you progress through the course and your career, the focus areas will vary and the expectations on you will also vary. For each focus area, you need to provide a piece of evidence. Evidence is often a photo of your practice. It might be a photo or a screenshot of your planning, and you could have an image of your feedback from your supervising teacher. It might be reflections from your placements, observations, and notes that you have made. And right from the start of placement, keep everything in your placement practicum folder. So all your observations, your planning, your feedback, your supervising teachers, self-reflection, notes, all of this will be evidence that will help you meet the focus areas. We can see an example here of a learning story up the top. For a child, this is a great piece of evidence that we can include in our assignment. We can see that the photo has lots of detail and it's clear and easy to read. Okay, it also has some planning details in there as well for me to read. And we can also note that the children's faces are blurred, and we are making sure that we are using pseudonames as well. Okay, so we also need to remember for your evidence that we need to provide a sequence of lesson plans, and this needs to be presented in at least one of the focus areas. This is required evidence, so you can choose which focus area you wish to pop this in. We do recommend 2.3 because that aligns well with your learning plans. So just please make sure that there is a sequence plan. So what is a sequence plan? It's one plan that's based off your observations, and then the second plan sequencing that. So you evaluate it, what would you going to do next, what worked well, what didn't, and what's the next plan. So that's 2 plans sequencing one another. So please make sure that you are including that in at least one of your focus areas. Okay, so our annotation. So our annotation is the easy bit. You've got a photo of your evidence for your focus areas, and then we have our annotation. Your annotation is 1 to 2 sentences giving background, context to the photo. Showing here is an example, a learning plan outlining clear goals, objectives and strategies that align with the curriculum, demonstrating systematic and intentional approaches to further develop children's literacy skills. The annotation is a caption for the photo that tells us what the photo is in the evidence and should clearly align to the focus area. Okay, so the reflective statement. In the assignment details, you will see these questions listed there, and these questions are a good framework for you to use in your reflections. They provide you an insight and move beyond a description. You might find them useful to consider these questions when developing your reflective statement. For example, what have you learnt? How may it change your professional, intellectual, personal and ethical development? What have you learnt about yourself as a beginning teacher and about the teaching profession that you might not have been aware of before? And what would you do differently if you had to do this again? Now, everyone could do things differently, and you might even say here, if I was to do this again, it would be better in such way. That would be a really great reflection. What are the impacts on the students' learning, and how do you know this? These are all great reflections. Here's a great example of a reflection. The first bit talks about the observation and why observation is important. You can see scholar literature being used to inform decision making and guides further planning by Raven 2011. And we've also got in the next paragraph what I did to engage in reflective in teaching by Sims 2011. And I used opportunities to introduce cards. I allowed the students to visually recognise, and these skills are still developing. The student goes on to say that the child's recognition skills are still developing, and it was encouraging to see his willingness to learn. Although the recognition skills are still developing, it was encouraging to witness his willingness to learn and his peers gradually join in the counting. This reflection shows that you have a understanding of the focus area, why observation is important. It shows that what you did personally on your placement, and it shows the impact that it had on the children. Okay, additional assignment details. Here you will use APA 7th edition referencing. You'll need to use a reference list at the end of your assignment. As you can see from the reflective statement that I've had earlier, the person was using both first person and third person. So you can do this in your assignment. Just when using third person, you're referring to your scholar literature, and first person when referring to yourself. It's important that you follow the code of ethics from your state that you reside in and maintain student privacy at all times. This means all the children will be de-identified, and you won't use names of the children, names of the centre, and anything that anybody can get a hold of your assignment could identify that child, and just making sure that that child is protected. So you can use pseudonyms or letters to protect their identity. And also please make sure that your assignment is your original work. It hasn't been copied from other sources. You have not previously submitted this work in any other course or unit, so you can't use your reflective statements from a previous professional experience within this assignment. It all must come from this placement that you're currently on, okay? It cannot come from another placement. Okay, so let's go through what the criteria is for the assignment. So you're required to carefully select evidence that you believe that demonstrates your knowledge and understanding of the specific focus area, and you must draw on the current placement for EDU20053, okay? There is a sequence of lessons being used for at least one of the focus areas, okay? So you need to put your lesson plans, 2 lesson plans, so sequencing, in one of the focus areas of your choice. Generally, we would like that to be in 2.3, but that's up to you where you put this, but it must be included within the assignment. All of your evidence must be from your own practice, not anybody else's. The images that you are selecting, just making sure again that they're de-identified, and they present what you have done on placement. It showcases your knowledge and what you have learnt, and how you think that that best meets the particular focus area. Please note that some of the evidence can overlap, but however you must have its own reflective statement. They must differ in each focus area. So you can use the same lesson plan for 2 focus areas, but they'll have different reflective statements based on that focus area for each of them. So please make sure that the evidence that you pick relates directly to you consolidating your practices and reflecting on your increased independence and taking control of the class or the group of children. So in this placement, you will be in full control in the last 2 weeks. So this is where you can showcase how you went within your assignment. Okay, great. Criteria 2 and 3 is that you have included your annotation and your reflective statements, okay? So you've included an annotation for each focus area that showcases and gives a context for the piece of evidence. It's basically a caption that provides a context for the reflective statement, and that's usually around 1 to 2 sentences, and it's quite brief. Okay, then each focus area will have a reflective statement. Our reflective statements move beyond that description phase here. Okay, we're making sure that we are using scholar literature to inform our ideas and show our understanding of how research is integrated. We're weaving that through our reflective statements. There is clear connections being made between the evidence and the focus area within your reflective statement, and there is a minimum of 15 academic sources being used throughout your assignment. Okay, this is excluding government documents and websites and web pages. So this excludes the early years learning frameworks, ATSOL standards. Okay, so you need to move beyond that and start using wider readings, unit readings, your theory readings within your work and your reflective statements. So here we want you to use unit readings and then move beyond this after that, and make sure that the evidence you provide is linking to that focus area and it shows your understanding of how you meet that particular focus area within your reflective statement. Okay, so criteria 4, this is what you normally see with most assignments, but here is your making sure that your work is presented in a professional academic tone. You have proofread your work, there's minimal spelling and grammatical errors throughout your work. There's a blend of quotes and paraphrasing to support your ideas. Here we want to make sure you're using minimal quotes, you're weaving that literature through, you're referencing, and remember that we have 3 live collabs, so we can ask questions here, okay? So just making sure that you're using language from the early childhood documents, and that it's 1 page per focus area here is what we're wanting, and you're using the APA 7th style referencing accurately, okay? So we have, like I said, 3 collab sessions going through the assignment where you can ask questions. We also have our wonderful discussion boards where your OLA is eager and ready to answer your questions. So please use these. They're very helpful. There's lots of information there for you, and we're there to help support you. Okay, Turnitin. So please make sure that you submit your assignment through the Turnitin Originality Report. This will come up with any plagiarism or errors in APA referencing, so please make sure you do this prior to submitting your assignment. The Padlet, so please head over to the Padlet. This is vital for you. It has all the necessary supports and guidance for you for this assignment. It has all the templates that you require, so head over there. It's really valuable. What if I need an extension? So the first 48 hours for extension, you do not need to submit evidence, but anything beyond 48 hours, you'll need a medical certificate or something like that, supportive evidence to get an approval for a long-term extension. We understand that you are most likely working and studying at the same time, so we're trying to be as flexible as we can with extensions, but please make sure that you pop in an extension if you require one. To submit for an extension, you need to go to the assignments page here where the arrow is and request an assignment extension. Assignment extensions open 2 weeks prior to the due date for the assignment, so please head there to get your extension. 48 hours will go to your OLA, and I think beyond 48 hours will come over to me, your UC. Thank you so much for listening to the live collab. If there's any questions, please head over to the discussion boards to ask your OLA. We're all there and eager and ready to answer your questions. We have the live collab sessions throughout the unit. These are really handy for you to ask more questions, speak to your OLAs, and get some further insight into the assignment criteria. Thank you again for listening.